All right, so that about wraps it up for tonight. And oh, hello. Would you like to know how I demo my songs for YouTube? Maybe it's time I show you guys. Let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Anthony Espadasa, and like always, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me for tonight. Today, we got a very interesting video. This topic has been a long time coming, and it's been asked of me many times on my Instagram page. It's been asked a lot in the YouTube comments. How do I demo my songs for YouTube? Now, I don't want you guys to get it twisted. I demo my songs for my band and my own stuff very differently than the way I demo songs for YouTube. For the songs that I write with my band, I take a lot of time and there's a lot of fine tuning and detail work that goes on within the demos. But when it comes to writing music for these YouTube videos, time is of the essence. So in this video, I'm going to discuss how I come up with the concepts for the music for these videos. I'm going to talk about the importance of setting templates in your DAW. I'm going to show you guys all the different plugins that I use. I'm going to show you guys all the different EQs that I use, mixing, all that good stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun on this one. But before we get started, I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming out towards the end of this year. You guys do not want to miss out. By the way, how do you guys like the new studio setup? I'm really digging it, kind of fine tuning it a little bit here and there, but so far I'm really digging the look of this studio. All the purples at the back, they just look really cool. Now, normally in these videos, I usually do my playthrough at the beginning of the video, but just to kind of show you guys the process, how I come up with these songs, how I demo everything out, I think it's more appropriate to leave the playthrough for the end of the video. So if you want to fast forward, you guys can go ahead. I have the time markers at the bottom to help you guys out, but if you want to be a part of the experience, well, be patient. All right, so coming up with a concept, a musical style, some kind of piece for a YouTube video really depends on what you're doing for that video. For me, I do a lot of Line 6 Pod Go videos, I do a lot of plugin videos, and a lot of my stuff really leans more towards the metal genre. So we're kind of just discussing that here, and it really helps flex your muscles when it comes to writing too. You can learn how to write in different genres and different styles and such, which is what I love to do. All right, let's go ahead. Let's open up Reaper. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so this is basically my YouTube demo songwriting template. I also use this for my own songs as well, or for my band songs. It all really depends, but this is such a quick way to get started, so you're not having to, go through and insert a new track every time you have an idea. I have a basic template set up, but basically when you open up Reaper, you'll have an entire new project. What you want to do, if you want to open up a template, is just go to project templates, and then I have my templates right here. So this one right here, the GGD metal template, is the one I basically use. If you want to come up with a template, I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do that in just a second. From the top, I have my main drum set, or my main drum program, which is the Giga Drums One Kit Wonder metal pack. I always start off with 4 different beats. I always start off with 2 rhythm guitar settings, both panned right and left. For my rhythm guitars, I use, let me turn off the EQ. The EQ should not be on. I use the Mark Lewis preset pack from STL Tone Hub. I also have EQ sets for both of them. This is my Espadasa EQ, but I'll also change it sometimes to my my producer's EQ, Roger Alvarez, who produces all my band stuff. He did an EQ set in here as well. So I'll just kind of go back and forth with the two. Those are off right now. And also color coding the tracks helps a lot, especially when you're cutting and pasting and doing all that stuff. We'll get all that stuff in a little bit. Along with adding the rhythm guitars, I also have 1 lead track as well. I have a clean preset as well in case I'm doing some ambient stuff, whatever the case might be with that. Or if I want to get a little, weird within the mix, I have a clean guitar track just in case, just to show you guys what I have on that one. For this one is also the STL Tone Hub preset 28, the PRS Archon, in the Mark Lewis preset pack. The amp is a PRS Archon, cab is a Mesa Traditional. It's important because this saves you a ton of time when you can just click and you have all your tracks ready, everything is panned. I also have my master chain ready as well. If you guys want to copy this, you guys can go ahead. I copied this from my boy Taylor Danley. Big shout out to Taylor Danley. I love his work. You guys can go check him out. Killer guitar player. He does a lot of killer tutorials. You guys definitely dig him. For this one, he has a Rhea EQ, just straight, no preset. Sometimes I'll put on the basic 11 band. It's a stock preset. I have the exciter on. The Rhea comp, I'll also always put on the Super Smooth 3-band or the Mastering 3-band Smile, depending on the track. I have a stereo enhancer, digital versatile compressor, Event Horizon limiter, and a master limiter. I actually had my producer ask me why I have 2 limiters on here. It really just helps with the sound. I just can't explain exactly why. It just really does help. And I'll show you guys the difference in the master EQs towards the end of the video. But yeah, while I'm writing, this is off. All the EQs and everything is off. I just have the plugins turned on, and then once I'm done with this song, I will turn everything on. All right, now I just want to also let you guys know that I pre-wrote this track already. If you look right up here, this is the template that we're looking at right now, but right over here on this other tab is the actual song with the actual files, and I will show you guys that in just a bit, and we'll go through some of those things as well. But I'm gonna do some quick demo work just to show you guys my workflow and how I write these riffs and stuff. So for this one, the rhythm guitar part, let me go ahead and arm my track. The rhythm guitar section for that specific drum that I wrote goes. That's how that goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and track it. And then I always do doubles because for some reason the doubles really help come up with different ideas for the songs. Sonically, it just gives me different ideas depending on the way I'm attacking the string. Maybe something like a might turn into a. It didn't, but I'm just saying it doesn't sound that great when it's just one guitar. But sometimes when you double it, you really get the power of the sonics of that riff, and it really does help you create more. It helps you be more creative. So I'm gonna go ahead and double that. All right, so now I have the first section of the song that I'm writing. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so now that the first section of the song is recorded, I will now copy and paste it over. If this was actually recording music, like if I'm actually recording an official track, I will not do this most of the time. I only do this just when I'm writing YouTube songs. So I go ahead and I will select the tracks, Command C. Always click, whenever you do this and you're copying drums as well as guitars, you always want to click on the drum track. I don't know, that just helps. There you go. Otherwise, it's going to be somewhere else. So now I have the track doubled here. And what I'll do is I will listen to the last couple bars and I'll see where the song can go from there. And I'll decide maybe something faster. Okay. And to me, that flow, I mean, this will take a little bit longer, but just to give you guys the idea, I will definitely feel this out, and I will go ahead and I will track whatever idea I would have for the next section. For this song, it would go something like this. A little sloppy at the end there, that's okay. Again, I'm just giving you guys some examples of what I'm doing here. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and hear from that section to the next. All right, and I will repeat this process as I demo along. All right, so that's basically the process of how I start the demo off. Now we're gonna move into the file where I have the full song that I'm gonna play through with you guys in just a little bit. As you guys can see here, I have all the drum rhythms that I had, adjusted a couple, added some little accents here and there, mainly copy and paste stuff, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I did that stuff right now. This is the track as it is. So what I will do is I'll actually go into each riff that I have and I will adjust the drums accordingly. So for this one, this is basically pretty close to the original beat that I had. But let's just say I want to add some cool accents here and there. Let me go and listen back. So I heard something right here. Da 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 da. So what I'll do is I'll just add maybe a couple extra kicks. Turn the velocity on the kicks up because I like my kicks hard. And that da 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 at the end will actually be some snare rolls. So what I do is the second and third hit of the snares, I will turn the velocity on those down because when a drummer hits, the right hand is normally the hardest. So that first hit normally is the right hand, at least I would think so. And the second hand is normally a little bit weaker, but it adds the dynamics. So just to hear it, turn off that snare, that hi-hat. So let's listen to that second half of the section into that. And I will do that throughout the song. I'll just go into each riff and see maybe something that I can change up. All right, so moving on into that second section, this is where that kind of more intricate riff came into play. All right, so I like that a lot. I like it with the double kick and everything, but having the hi-hat on this section and then going into this section, having the hi-hat still there as a constant it's a little monotonous. So I want to change it up. I'm thinking of maybe adding a ride hit instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to the piano roll. I'm going to grab these hi-hats and I'm going to move them up to the right. Oh. I really should mark these. That's also something you guys should do is mark your piano roll keys. I don't do that with mine. I'm too lazy. Okay, so this is the ride. Now you guys hear that dun dun dun. It's a constant just da da da. But I want to make it more like a da 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 da. A little more constant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these, move them over here to this beat, and I'm going to paste them. And I'm going to turn the velocity on those down. Because if I leave them up, it's going to sound like this. And I don't dig that very much. So I'm going to turn those down. Now it sounds a little bit more real. And obviously you can get way more in depth with this when it comes to your drum fills, whatever you want to do. If you want to make things sound more realistic when you're using drum software, MIDI drum software, the best thing for you to do is to really mess with the velocity of the hits. This is a very basic thing to do. And if you're starting off with these ideas of trying to make your MIDI drum sound more real, definitely you want to use these, this idea of setting velocities. Now the bass section, the reason I love demoing bass, especially for YouTube songs, is if I'm listening back in my car after the session or whatever the case is, I just like having a lot of low end and it really does fill everything out. So I'm going to start from the top of the song and I'm going to play it without the bass just so you guys can know. I've heard a lot of guitar players say, well, there's no reason to demo bass. You're not actually making a track. I disagree. I actually think listeners enjoy having the low end in the track itself, which is why I do track bass. I use my bass player's bass. If you have a bass in your house or around you, definitely use it to your best abilities. And you learn also how to be a better bass player. Not that you have to be a better bass player, but it does help when it comes to writing music. I'm going to go ahead and play it with the bass track muted. And see, it sounds cool. It sounds chunky, but it doesn't have that so let me unmute it. So now I'm really digging the low end of it. My bass presets always vary, but this is actually a new bass preset kind of chain that I found the other night that I wanted to share with you guys. So for this specific tone, right now I'm using my go-to bass preset when it comes to demoing. Like I said, it always changes towards the end of the process, and we're getting towards the end of the process. But I always start with preset 59, the Ampeg SVT Classic Ampeg 8x12 in the core pack of STL Tone-Up. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to disable that, and I'm going to turn on my TSE audio baud. This is a Sans amp simulator. So if you, I know a lot of bass players, they use Sans amps when they're tracking. This is free. You guys can get it. Just go ahead and Google TSE audio BOD bass overdrive, and you can find it. It's free, and it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite plugins to use. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna do that. We're going to activate it. And I also like using, I'm starting to kind of come back around to the Bass Forge Rex Brown, which I did enjoy about a year and a half ago when I bought it. I kind of moved away from it, started using my Will Putney bass preset pack, but I'm kind of moving back to it because I found a bunch of really cool bass cab impulse responses. I found a bunch of bass IRs basically. So for this one, I have a specific cab that I like using, which is a Satan Tone IR that I found. You guys can go ahead and Google that as well. You can probably find it real quick. This is my Hell setting. I have my Vintage 2 preamp on. These are all the settings for the head right now. We're not going to get too into that because this isn't really a bass guitar video, but just showing you what I'm using. So I have the BOD TSE audio activated with the Bass Forge Rex Brown. I have basically the Sans amp at the top of the chain. Don't mind this, STL Tone-Up. That thing is deactivated. That thing is deactivated right now, and so is my Rhea EQ. But just to show you guys how it sounds so. Sounds dirty. I like it a lot. I'm going to show you guys how it sounds without the BOD. This is just the Bass Forge with that cab impulse that I have. And now I'm going to activate the BOD. And we're going to activate the whole track. Now it's time to finish off this track. What I'll do is I'll go through each track and I'll start activating my Rhea EQs. Based on your preference, you can decide how you want to have your Rhea EQs or your EQ settings, whatever. This is just kind of how I like to have mine. I'm just activating everything at the moment. I don't think I have an EQ for the lead right now. Normally I don't. I like those to shine a little bit. And obviously I activated my EQ for the bass. Now, for the very last part of everything, what I will do is I'll go into my master effects, and instead of going and just adding them piece by piece, I have my effects chain saved, and you guys can do the same thing too. What you do is you go through the specific master effects that you want to use. Once they're all in the chain, you go ahead and click save effects chain, save it as you will, and every time you go into a project, instead of having to go individually, you just click add effects chain like I'm about to do, and with one click you'll have all your shit. So add effects chain, and then I go to my Fricker effects chain, and bam, there's my entire effects chain. What I'll do is I have certain ideas for the way I want the song to sound as I kind of go through it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to play, and I'm going to start adjusting my master effects chain. You guys just saw me do two things. Those are my go-to settings for those presets. I obviously will dig more into it as I move along, but just for this video, those are the ones I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys the difference in how the master chain sounds. This is why I think Master Effects is really important when it comes to demo writing. It's because it just makes everything so loud and so clear as opposed to what I'm going to show you guys right now. I wish I discovered this years ago, but I'm glad I discovered it now. It showed me how important the master effects is to the final version of a song. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it without the effects, and then I'm going to activate it. All right, and that is basically how I demo my songs for these YouTube videos. It usually takes me about 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on kind of how fast the riff ideas are coming to me. You know, with this tool set that I have and the template that I have for my workflow, it really does help streamline the entire process. In fact, just last week I worked on 2 full songs for 2 upcoming videos, one being this one and then one being my PV Vector video that probably will have come out before this video. But I actually worked on 2 songs in one night, and I think I spent like 4 hours total working on both songs, doing all the drums, guitars, leads, and bass tracks, along with master effects and everything. Really the majority of the time that it took me to do everything was just writing the actual songs themselves. And that's really where you want to be at. You want to have the most time spent writing the actual music instead of kind of just, well, let me see what kind of master effects I can add, or let me see what my EQ settings are. Leave all that stuff for last. Leave it when you have some time to spare getting into that. And also too, is this really does help develop your ear as well. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, hey dude, can you put an EQ effects on my guitar chain, I probably would not know what the fuck you're talking about. But now when I'm with my band, when I'm with my guys, it's very easy to kind of speak that language and know exactly what to do. And talk to your producers, talk to your engineers, and kind of learn from them. Learn why certain things are certain ways. You guys will definitely learn a lot if you just speak to other producers, other engineers, and even other musicians that are recording efficient. All right, guys, the time is now. Let me go ahead and let me show you guys how this song sounds within a mix using all the tools and strategies that I use to demo out this song. Let's rock! Alright guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was informative and it helped some of you guys out. I am not somebody who went to music school. I'm obviously not a producer. I'm not an engineer. I'm just a musician. I'm a guitar player in a band, and I write songs, and I just like my demos to sound as good as they can, really, so that the guys, instead of hearing, oh wow, that guitar sounds like shit, or oh man, it sounds so muddy, that they can hear the ideas more clearly. And it does help out a lot. I found that when we first started Defy the Tyrants, I was working with FL Studio 12 and using Audacity to track my demos, and I found that when I started using Reaper with better plugins and better software, that my ideas were better heard and they were better translated. So I highly advise you guys to go ahead and invest yourselves just a little bit. To me, this is the same kind of investment as buying a new amp or a great guitar or anything like that. This is just a tool set for you as musicians. What did you guys think of the video? Let me know in the comments below. I hope this was informative, and I hope it helped you guys out a ton. I will catch you guys later. Please stay safe, wash your ass, wash your hands, and like always, keep it heavy.